Anything else?
No, thank you.
All right, let the jury step down. And who is the next witness?
Sergeant James Smith.
Just hang tight. If you need to come up, and then they need to take a short break. All right, good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Let the record reflect all of the jurors are here and present. If you'll step up, please, sir. Raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Sir, would you please tell us your name and spell your first and last name for us?
James Smith, James, Smith.
And by whom are you employed?
Metro Nashville Police Department.
How long have you been with the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department?
For nearly 13 years.
What are your current duties and assignments?
I'm currently a patrol sergeant over at the East Precinct.
And how long have you been assigned to the East Precinct as a patrol sergeant?
At East Precinct, patrol sergeant, I've been there since 2025.
And during your career with the police department, what positions have you held and or been assigned to?
I have started off my career as a patrol officer, was transferred to East Investigations as a detective for precinct level, and then a detective over the domestic violence division.
And how long were you a detective with the domestic violence division?
3.5 years.
In the month of February, particularly February 25th, 26th, and thereafter, of the year 2023, what was your assignment?
At domestic violence division.
What does that division do? What are its responsibilities?
Domestic Violence Division's primary objective is really to assist the victims through the criminal justice system or through advocacy centers with our partners in the community. As a detective, we would do preliminary investigations, any follow-up investigations to assist the victims of domestic violence incidents.
And are there other such units in the police department?
Specialized units?
Specialized units?
Yes, sir.
And does the domestic violence unit encompass dealing with homicides?
We're not the primary investigation unit that's involved in the homicides, but we do assist the homicide unit.
Now, to direct your attention to the late evening, perhaps early morning hours, February the 25th and 26th of 2023, were you assigned and were asked to respond to a call to the Vanderbilt University Emergency Department Medical Center?
Yes, I did.
You recall approximately when you were notified that your assistance was needed?
Yes, sir.
When was that?
I don't recall the exact time I was called. I know at some point a supervisor from Domestic Violence Division contacted me between February 25th and 26th to respond out to an incident that occurred.
Was it at nighttime?
Yes, it was.
And where were you when you received the call?
I was at home.
And, pardon me, were you on call?
I was on call.
And so, did you get dressed and go to
Yes.
Vanderbilt?
Yeah. On-call status in the sense of we typically have an hour to respond from the time we're called to respond to the incident scene or wherever it could be.
And with respect to responding and having information, did you have any general information of what the call was about?
Any general information was given to me by the patrol supervisor. Initially, when I received the phone call, very basic until making contact with primary officer on scene.
So when you arrived, you recall approximately when it was you arrived at the Vanderbilt Medical Center?
It'll be sometime after 11 p.m. or 11:30 p.m. that evening.
Okay. When you arrived, were there uniformed officers of the Metropolitan Police Department present?
There was, at least I saw one. But yes.
You recall who that first officer you saw was?
It was Officer Lindsay Fish.
And was she essentially at that time in charge of the scene?
At Vanderbilt Hospital, she was on scene. She was my primary contact throughout this incident.
And were there other officers there that eventually saw him?
There were at least one that I might have seen, but I never made contact with those officers.
That's what I was going to ask. Did you ever have any
No.
interaction with anyone other than Officer Fish?
No, my primary contact was with Officer Fish.
Now, upon arriving, speaking with Officer Fish, were you directed to one or more individuals who might have information about the matter?
Yes, I was.
And when you initially arrived, did you speak to or see any physician, any doctor or nurse?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you receive information from that individual?
Yes.
And either initially or at some point, did the name Jade Benning arise?
Yes, sir.
And did you initially see that individual?
I did.
And describe that to us if you could.
When I arrived, I typically I try to make contact with the victim. At this point, the victim was on a higher level floor. She was intubated, unable to respond, unresponsive. In a room that I could observe from outside. I never actually entered the room, but I was advised by medical personnel her condition.
And by observing her, was there any reason for you to go into the room at that time or try to interview her? Was she in any condition for that?
No, she was not.
After doing that, what was your next step?
After that, after my observation of Miss Benning, I went back downstairs. I think my first contact or person I interviewed was actually with Miss Jade Jackson. Sorry if I mispronounced her first name, but it was Miss Jackson.
Ms. Jackson. I sometimes have that same issue. Where was Miss Jackson when you first came into contact with her?
She was in the lobby area or in near the front entrance or such, basically on the first floor of Vanderbilt's Medical Center, basically ER area.
Just want to ask, upon seeing Miss Benning, was she anyone you had ever seen before?
No, I had not.
Miss Jackson, had you ever seen her before?
No, I had.
Upon initially laying eyes on her, what were your observations? Could you describe how she appeared?
Miss Jackson?
Yes, Miss Jackson.
She appeared worried, concerned, I won't say frantic or anything, but in a state where, she had a friend that was in a condition that she was worried about.
Now, at that time, did you know whether or not Miss Jackson had been interviewed or spoken to by any other officer?
I don't recall if anybody actually said they spoke to her, but I think she was asked Officer Fish if she could bring her to me.
Okay. And we certainly won't go into what she told you, but did you speak with her and receive information from her?
I did.
And approximately how long was that interaction?
Can't give you the exact time, probably 20 minutes.
And based upon receiving that information from her, what did you do next?
After speaking to Miss Jackson, I asked Officer Fish where she showed me where Mr. Blaise Taylor was, and I asked if he could come back and speak with me as well.
And did you come into contact with an individual whom you learned to be Blaise Taylor?
I did.
And is that individual here in the room today?
He is.
Could you please identify or describe what he is wearing and where he is sitting?
From my point of view, he's to my right. He's in a blue suit blazer with a tie, light blue, diagonal stripes across.
All right, that's reflect he is identified and indicated Mr. Taylor.
Okay.
All right. Where was Mr. Taylor when you first saw him?
On my first arrival, I was pointing out that he was seated near the front door of the entrance to the ER area, near the lobby.
Was there anyone with him?
No.
What, if anything, did he appear to be doing? Pardon me.
He was seated. He was on his cell phone.
Did you go over and introduce yourself?
Call if I introduced myself or if I had an Officer Fish bring him to me to introduce myself.
I want to ask, you're here today in a coat and tie. Is that how you would have been, or at least casual dress that night?
Typically our response is business casual, which I would have either a blazer or a vest to cover, which we're, by policy, is to cover our badge and gun.
The reason I ask that is, were you wearing a body-worn camera?
I was not.
And is there any reason for not having one as a detective?
Typically, my thought is that we don't wear typically a body worn camera as a detective during this time or at that time. Because typically uniforms and body worn cameras deter people from talking to police. In the sense, it was plain clothes, business casual, vests, identify as officer or detective, but we usually have the audio recorder on us.
I was going to ask, do you have something, though, on your person to record interviews,
Yeah.
conversations?
Yes, sir. It would have been a digital audio recorder.
But no video.
No video.
So, upon your initial interaction with Mr. Taylor, what, if anything, did you do and where did you go?
We went to a private room, I believe it was held for chapel services at Vanderbilt on the first floor. It's unlocked, but we entered there and that's where I spoke to Mr. Taylor.
Now, aside from Officer Fish and Ms. Jackson, perhaps some of the medical personnel, had you spoken to anyone else prior to interviewing Mr. Taylor?
Prior to Mr. Taylor, no.
And were you, or were you not aware that there were perhaps other individuals at the location concerned about Ms. Benning?
I did.
So,
Well, there is a time, I can't recall the timeline. There were the other individuals. I did speak to, prior to Mr. Taylor, Miss Benning's stepmother, and as well as over the phone, her mother, birth mother, and maybe a brief interaction with some friends, but I don't think I actually spoke to them until after Mr. Taylor.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, this question, was that interview recorded with Mr. Taylor?
Mr. Taylor, yes, it was.
And have you had the opportunity to review a recording of that interview?
Yes, I have.
With perhaps the volume enhanced somewhat?
Yes.
And have you also had an opportunity to review a transcript prepared from that recorded interview?
I did.
Your Honor, if I might ask
All right, show that.
that a copy of the transcript in this envelope be passed to the witness. Sergeant Smith, if you would open the envelope and see if that contains a tag on it that would indicate
Yeah.
it is.
It says Sergeant James or J. Smith, USB flash drive.
And the transcript that's been handed, have you reviewed that, and is that a fair and accurate transcription of what is on the USB?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move those be introduced as the next numbered exhibit, I believe number 9 of number 8.
Yeah, A, sorry, A and B.
And would ask to publish the recorded interview and with the court's permission, I have prepared hopefully sufficient copies for everyone.
All right, go ahead and pass those out here. Okay. You wanted to play this now?
Yes, Your Honor, if it could be published and.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, like I said previously, if you hear something different from your recollection of what's being played, then you rely on that instead of the transcript. Okay.
she's not listeners. Remember, she said that she had a phone.
Yeah, if she's got a phone, we probably need to take it to get to that phone.
So we've been debating. Around August. Okay, kind of got back together around late after Christmas, January. You guys see each other maybe between 2 to 4 times a week. You have a little girl. Obviously, no issues in that sense. All right. There was mention of vomiting.
Yes.
Did she?
So yeah, when she threw up, that's when I called my dad.
Okay.
That's when I realized that, she said she wasn't feeling well, and like, that's not uncommon,
Yeah.
Whatever,
Where's she vomiting? On the bed? Like, was it, how many bedrooms are there?
It's just a two-bedroom.
Two-bedroom.
The other bedroom don't have a bed or anything.
Okay, so she threw up on the bed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she wanted to lay on somebody pillow. So that's when I called my dad.
So she vomits on the bed, you're calling your dad, you call 911 at that point. Obviously, you guys had that chicken Alfredo at one. Did she have anything to drink?
No, there was no alcohol in there. So.
Well, I mean, just
Eliminating water, stuff.
Okay, so eliminating Kool-Aid water. Would it be a reason that she would try to accuse you of anything? Have you guys had any recent arguments?
Not at all.
Okay.
I mean, that's the one really good thing that we really don't argue. We communicate very well.
Okay.
And then, like, we get along with each other and work together and stuff. Like, we've never, since January, we really didn't have any really disagreements, I would say, at all.
Okay. Did you know she called Miss Jackson?
Oh yeah, Andre, yeah, because she wanted, she called her. I was there, she called her, and I spoke to Andre on the phone.
Okay.
I told Andre that she wanted her to come over. Because she wasn't feeling well.
Okay.
So,
Any reason why she would make any accusations to Miss Jackson about you?
no, not at all. I mean, she was, that's what I'm about. We were waiting for her. She was just,
What kind of behavior was she when she got sick? Do you remember?
so she wasn't feeling well. She was trying to, like, she wanted to go down, and then she was like, kind of, I don't know, like she was just kind of like in a manic, panic, like, I don't know, she wasn't like really looking at me, but she was talking to me, and then she was kind of talking to me, not sure, but like she just wasn't like, I don't know, she was just kind of like I don't even know how to describe it, but she wasn't really looking this way and talking to me, and like, I don't know, she was trying to get to her bed because she wants to lay down, so
She taking any like medication?
not that I know of. I do know I've been in contact with my mom, and so her mom told me that she did test positive for COVID.
Okay.
When she got here, I didn't know that she had COVID. We
that probably put a lot of people in trauma, a sense of what we respond to and such. But then, you know, my reaction was because I'm used to it, or it's one of these officers' reaction. You know, we're usually calm, cool, collected in that sense. So it's just, what's that? What's your phone number? 865-773-5738. But you don't live with her?
No, sir. I do not. I stay at her place, like overnight. She stayed at my place different times, but like we don't live together.
Gotcha. That's what I pretty much got. But you, any reason, you don't know any reason why she would try to say, if you were trying to harm her in any way?
No, I just think not. So I think Jade was kind of like trying to find. I think she was kind of in shock and like she's been very distraught. We all have been, but I feel like she was just kind of directed that at me because I was the last person with her.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I did everything possible to, you know, in this situation. I don't know how to call the 911, help them do exactly what they tell me to do into the professional people got there.
Yeah.
Even then, when they got there, they, you know, they told me, you know, let them handle it because I was trying to kill her to them.
Yeah. Alright. I was just checking.
Our relationship has gotten a lot better. Like, we pretty much decided on like the name of the job and everything. We're gonna all that kind of stuff. We've been
Did you clean up or anything afterwards?
no.
Okay.
She after we ate, she was kind of tightening up a little bit. But, that's it.
Okay.
Tightening up and then, but you know, I just feel like they're telling me like to wipe them out and like stuff like that.
Okay, so you're playing on her, like, nothing around the apartment itself.
We just bolted and like that.
Okay. So when medics basically got there, you guys,
Yeah, all of them. Nobody, I mean, I guess the door's been unlocked, but nobody, to my knowledge, has been here since we left.
okay. Is it, gotcha. It's an apartment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Where's her drink? Or her cup? Is it?
It should be, I think she put them in soup, maybe.
No, okay. What kind of cup was it?
Just glass, like it was just glass.
Just a glass? Okay. Just clear glass?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I go over to her apartment and get that glass, there's nothing going to be, and I run it through her lab, there's nothing going to be in that glass?
No.
Okay. The only reason I'm asking is because I just have to go through everything, just make sure.
Like I said, we were trying to go ahead and focus on her, our daughter, everything like that happened so quick.
Yeah.
Everything happened so fast.
Yeah.
Like I said, up, down, around, out of the time, and all of a sudden,
Blaise Taylor, boyfriend of the victim here at Vanderbilt. Today's date is 2/26/23. Time is 02:40 hours.
But you can pass those documents back. Okay.
Sergeant Smith, in the course of this interview, were you and Mr. Taylor standing, sitting, since we don't have the video, I was just going to ask.
We were sitting.
And the individual who came in the room briefly,
Mm-hmm.
you said was Ms. Benning's stepmother, would that have been Ms. Browning?
The individual that came in, that was speaking the female voice, that was actually Officer Fish.
Officer Fish, okay. Now, with respect to this interview and police involvement,
Mm-hmm.
initially you told Mr. Taylor that you're not being treated as a suspect or anything.
Yes, sir.
And was he under arrest at that time?
No, he wasn't.
Was he in custody?
No, he wasn't.
And the reason I ask that is from all of the TV shows, the first thing that happens is, oh, you have the right to remain silent. Is that required?
No, it's not.
And why not?
Typically, criminal activity is involved once you're place someone in arrest. To ask any questions involving that criminal act, you have to Mirandize them.
Was that the circumstance here?
No, it was not.
And in fact, when the interview, the discussion ended, Mr. Taylor go back to,
He was freely to leave. He was, I don't know if he remained at the hospital, but I believe I left before even he did.
did you at any time replace him in handcuffs or have him officially detained?
No, I didn't.
I'm going to ask the jury has heard this and heard some questions you asked Mr. Taylor. Were those questions as a result of your having interviewed Ms. Taylor? I'm sorry, Ms. Jackson. And having information from her.
Some of the questioning to Ms. Jackson was having Mr. Taylor's second interview were towards that with hers. Yes.
Okay. In other words, questions were based on information you had
Been provided. Yeah.
Now, one of the things you said that in asking about the glass
Mm-hmm.
in the apartment, and you said, I believe, I will go to the apartment.
Yes.
Did you do that?
I did not.
And why or why not?
Good. So to make entry into the apartment as a residential habitation, it requires a search warrant. A search warrant doesn't end at my level as a detective. I have to go through my chain of command, which involves the supervisor, which would have been the domestic violence sergeant at the time. The information that was given to me provided their statements, and I think there was additional information that we had not secured that apartment yet. Officers were not at her apartment. There was information that people had been in the apartment. And because that I relay that information to my supervisor, it has to be approved. A search warrant has to be approved by a supervisor first, which at that time, shortly after, I was told that I would not be completing a search warrant that night.
And did you go to the apartment that Did you ever go to the apartment yourself?
I did not.
At some point, did the homicide unit become involved?
They did.
And what is the homicide unit? Just brief overview. What do they do that's different from what you do?
They're a specialized unit that typically just deal with the criminal homicides, any forms, first, any type of homicide, as well as any possible or potential where a victim may see to perish or be deceased, that they would investigate those.
How long were you at the Vanderbilt Medical Center? We know at 2:40 a.m., 02:40 is when the interview with Mr. Taylor ended, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What, if anything, did you do after that other than inquiring about a search warrant?
I don't know. I can't recall how much longer I was there at Vanderbilt. After that, after inquiring about the search warrant, it was denied. And then likely going back to the office. Basically, there's a procedure where we type up a narrative of what happened and what we did that night, which goes through my chain of command. So it been a couple hours before I even went home.
Before you left Vanderbilt Medical Center, did one or more homicide detectives arrive?
No, they did not arrive.
So when you left, was Officer Fish still there?
I believe so.
And did you speak to Mr. Taylor again before you left that morning?
I don't recall ever.
Or have any conversation with him since then until this day?
No, I did not.
Were there any one or more other individuals that you spoke to at the hospital, if you recall? Now you told us about Miss Brown, the stepmother.
Mm-hmm. Besides Ms. Brown, there were several friends that showed up. I only recall one name being Miss Lauren Weber. I briefly spoke to them, and they were she stated that she had entered that apartment prior to police securing the scene or anything.
Did you receive any items of evidence or any personal property from anyone there at the scene?
She shared a photograph.
And did you share that ultimately with part of the case file that's been provided to the
Yeah.
defense counsel?
When homicide took over the investigation, it was provided to their unit.
And if you can recall, what was the photograph of?
I can recall it appeared to be a table and had a couple glasses, cups on them.
Prior to your, essentially, the case being turned over to the homicide unit, or perhaps even after it was, did you do anything else with respect to Miss Benning at the hospital?
Yes. Once I was informed that homicide would be taking over the investigation, I was asked to assist them. This was the same day, I believe it was February 26th of 23. Same day, a couple hours after the initial response. To assist them in the investigation as they would obtain a search warrant for the residence, and I was asked to type a draft for a search warrant for blood draw from Miss Benning.
And did you do that?
I did.
And was that done in reference with paperwork and?
Yeah. Again, with the search warrant itself, an affidavit was provided to my supervisors. The search warrant was approved. I went down to the night court to have a magistrate who granted the search warrant. From that point, I went to Vanderbilt Hospital, where Miss Benning was a medical personnel, which either nurse or doctor would take the vials. There's 2 vials for the blood draw. Provided them with a search warrant. They did the blood draws. The blood draws go into a property box that gets turned into a refrigerator in a property box for preservation.
Present to observe the blood draw.
I did.
And once it refers to 2 tubes, is that correct?
Yes.
Right. And were those handed directly to you?
Yes, they were.
And is it packaged?
Yeah, I would package them, do a property sheet to turn into property, and then typically after, at some point, I was asked to do what is called a search warrant return, which is basically stating a receipt of what actually I received from that search warrant was the 2 vials of blood, and then a judge had signed off that return, and and then a copy of that return was given to homicide.
And is that standard operating procedure?
It is.
All right, please report. May I ask that this group of photographs be passed over as the council is reviewed? Sergeant Smith, been handed a collection of photographs. Have you had an opportunity to review those?
I have.
And you recognize what is contained, depicted in those photographs?
Yes, sir.
Or has those be introduced as Exhibit 9? That's one. And be published to the juries that I can ask Sergeant Smith about them.
You need the hard copy?
Well, I think we're ready.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Okay, Sergeant Smith, you see on your screen, what is that a photograph of?
So it's a box that we use when we do blood draws. That's provided by usually our property or evidence room. Top, that left-hand corner is my name. The division I was in, or bureau, DVDs, domestic violence, and incident.
Speak up, just I know you're
yeah.
turned away
Yeah.
from me. I was going to ask the name. We got it.
Yeah. So
Bureau, division.
name, bureau, division, complaint number, or the incident number itself. This goes to our property and evidence department because it is blood. It gets the biohazard sticker on there.
Now, I don't think we've got to the point of asking about an incident number or complaint number.
Mhm.
What is the purpose of that, and how is that assigned to a matter?
Any call for service that we receive gets assigned a complaint or incident number. It's basically for a report that we can basically attach it to a report that we can reference the case to.
And is reports, items of evidence, things that come in, are they all theoretically placed under that same complaint number?
Yes, they are.
Now, what is this photograph of? You referenced it being a box.
Yeah. So the boxes use the barcode itself. That's done by the property room. I wouldn't have done that, but the box itself is a white box that contains the 2 vials and paperwork that typically goes in with all blood draws. Majority of times you would see these. We would use these for DUI, search warrants, blood draws, and
what is it?
so the back of it is once everything is contained inside the box, it would be sealed. Those red are kind of taped, so they would seal it, and we have to notate our initials and the date that we basically has sealed it.
And it is 2/27/2023, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
What is this document?
So this is a Form 110. It is a property sheet. As you see in the top right, there's a barcode. Any property receives a barcode that basically can be categorized with our property and evidence division. The middle section would have typically the owner or victim information, basically whose property it belongs to. The last section on here shows the property being the box itself, the blood alcohol toxicology evidence collection kit, which would involve the 2 vials of blood, but it's one complete kit itself.
Okay. Under the same complaint number?
Yes, sir.
You referenced,
Oh,
you
yeah.
referenced a few
Yeah.
moments ago that it's a standard one that's used for commonly DUI arrests.
Yes.
And so is the form also commonly used for that?
Yes.
And this form,
This form is included with the blood kit itself. Basically, as you can see, requesting individual information would be myself, incident number, date, time, or offense. If there's any charges, so who the Miss Benning's name's on there as the subject that we were drawing the blood from, her information, date was collected, time collected, and by who is done by the medical staff. Since this was not a breath alcohol result or like an actual DUI, those things are not checked or NA. And then it would be signed off by me, and since I collected it and I submitted it, I signed off as submitting evidence, and then the bottom part will be done by our crime lab.
and this photograph.
Those would be the 2 vials of blood that was drawn from Miss Benning.
Ones that were handed to you and
Yes, by
placed in
medical.
the box
Yes.
by you.
I observed the blood draw, and then they were handed to me after they were placed. I believe there's a label, initial under, I think the properties. The first barcode itself is, I believe that's the crime lab property room, and then there was a label underneath that we put on there, or sign, so, or my name, or her information.
And just a different view of the
Yeah.
same cues. Just one of the blank screen.
Oh,
And once that box is delivered to the property room, and was it delivered to the property room?
so for blood draws, typically it has to go to a refrigerated property box. There's one at our DCSO's booking. It was dropped off there. It goes into this. There's a refrigerator. There's a box. It's a locked box that we can't have access to. Only property and evidence have access to it. Which we drop it in, and once it's in there, it's locked up until they collect it.
And again, standard procedure.
Yeah.
Okay. After you placed it in the lockbox, did you have any other contact with that
Yeah, I did.
box, and the tubes of blood, or anything at all to do with it again?
No, sir.
No monitor. Those were exhibit collected photos, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Sure you have the right number.
So, Roger, what number did you say?
Number
No.
nine. Yeah.
And there's no letters attached to those, right?
Big
There's
pardon?
no letters, it's just 9, 1 big gun.
She'll mark them.
Sure.
A through E or whatever they are. You have them.
But they are in that order.
You are.
That-
Yes.
Okay.
I think I may have already done that, but that's all questions I have.
All right. Questions on behalf of Mr. Taylor?
May we have exhibits, State's Exhibits 9, A through D, as well as State's Exhibit 1, A and B, please? Detective James Smith, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Edward Jointer. People call me Ed. I'm going to be asking you a few questions.
Yes, sir.
If at any time you don't understand, please let me know and I'll try to rephrase.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to try to reorientate myself to some of your investigative actions. Okay?
Okay.
So, did you interview Ms. Andrea Browning before or after Mr. Taylor?
Miss Browning, it would be before.
And I just wanted to clear that up because on direct, I thought you said you interviewed Mr. Taylor before you interviewed Mrs. Browning.
No. I think when DA asked if I interviewed anybody before, I think initially I might have said no, but then I recalled saying I spoke to her stepmother, her mother briefly on the phone, and then Miss Jackson prior to Mr. Taylor.
So, how many people did you speak to before you spoke with Mr. Taylor?
It would have been her, Miss Benning's stepmother, mother was on the phone, and Miss Jackson, besides Officer Fish and medical personnel.
And do you recall when you were speaking to Mrs. Bennett's stepmother, Mrs. Browning, that you told her that it was you all's intention to go to Miss Jade Benning's home?
I don't recall. I don't know. I don't believe I actually have a recording of that interaction, so.
Would you like a transcript of that recording? Would it aid you in your testimony today?
Yeah.
Just one second.
Now remove your seat before it's passed.
Okay.
Okay, what is your question?
Did you have an opportunity to refresh your recollection? Or are you still looking at it?
I just got out of time looking at it.
Okay. And if you would pay special attention to page 7, second indention from the bottom.
Okay.
And now that you had an opportunity to refresh your recollection, do you recall telling Miss Benning's stepmom that you all would go to her apartment?
Based off of this transcript, yeah.
I now want to turn your attention to, did you make a report in this matter?
What do you mean?
Like a report, did you generate like an offense report, like a supplement, like a statement?
I did not generate the actual report. The only supplement that I would have done is an email that went through up to my chain of command.
And do you recall in that email you stating that Hermitage Patrol to secure the scene of 522 Lebanon Pike?
Yes.
And that's important, correct? To secure a scene?
If there was to find any evidence.
Right. And just so the jury is clear, you talked about a search warrant.
Yes.
And you had talked about some of the protocols and procedures to secure a search warrant.
Yes.
Those same protocols and procedures does not exist to secure a scene, does it?
No.
In fact, a lot of times a patrolman will secure a scene in anticipation of a search warrant, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so in your line of work, it's not uncommon for you to request a scene be secured, is it?
No.
Because you want to preserve the evidence, correct?
Correct.
And you want to avoid contamination, correct?
Correct.
And so, on direct examination, you talked about how you interviewed a Lauren Weber.
Yes.
Did you learn that Lauren Weber was a friend of Miss Nigella Jackson and Miss Benning?
Yes.
Did you also learn that Lauren Weber had entered into the apartment?
Yes.
And do you recall in that email that you sent to the state, you described the scene as contaminated?
I did.
And that's because they went into the scene, correct?
Yes, sir.
I want to show you what's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 1. Now, Detective Smith, you say you've been with the department for 13 years?
Nearly. Yes.
Yeah. Do you recognize either of these individuals that are in this photo?
I do not. I do not, because I can't see their faces.
And if you observe this, you see this black strip at the top of this photo?
Yes.
And then do you see this black strip at the bottom of this photo?
Yes, sir.
Does it appear to be cropped to you? The photo itself?
Possibly. I don't know how it was scanned or...
But either way, you agreed with me that the scene was contaminated because they entered into the scene and removed items.
That's how I stated to my supervisor.
And I want to show you State's Exhibit 1B. What would you describe this to be right here? If you can circle that for the jury. That blue, what would you describe that?
Believes to be a comforter or blanket.
And did you learn throughout your investigation that Miss Benning had vomited on the bed?
Yeah, statements from Mr. Taylor, yes.
And you would agree with me that if there's evidence of vomit on that comforter, that that is in fact evidence?
Yes.
And it would be relevant to an investigation?
Yes, sir.
And it's definitely something you would want to preserve?
Yes, sir.
Why?
If we had done a search warrant for or if I had done a search warrant for the resident itself, it's basically to collect any evidence towards the allegations that had been stated, to prove if there was anything. If there's a vomit, as he said it, she vomit, is basically to collect the comforter, get the vomit, run through the crime lab to see if there was anything within the vomit itself.
want to now show you State's Exhibit number 9A.
Mm-hmm.
And you just testified that if you would have done it, you would have did it a certain way in reference to State's Exhibit 1B, correct?
Yes.
You stated that you would have followed protocols and procedures, correct?
Yes.
And so you didn't have anything to do with the collection of any evidence from the home, did you?
No, sir.
Because that scene was contaminated and that wasn't a part of your duties, correct?
Well, it seems I advised my supervisor was contaminated and search warrant was denied on my part. And then when homicide took it over, they're the ones that completed a search warrant for the residents.
And so, to my question, you didn't do anything with the evidence at the home, correct?
No, sir.
So that doesn't have anything to do with you, does it?
No, sir.
And like you stated, if that you would have been involved, you would have followed all protocols and procedures as it related to collecting the evidence, correct?
Yes.
And so now I want to turn you to what you were involved in.
Mm-hmm.
You did collect this blood sample.
Yes, sir.
Can you describe for the members of the jury, can you circle that orange thing right there? Can you tell us what that is?
It's a biohazard sticker.
And what does that mean?
Basically, any bodily fluids, blood that could transfer anything, basically it's a safety precaution to show that this is what's in their box.
Detective James Smith, is vomit a bodily fluid?
Yes.
Now, the date of the collection on that was February 27th,
Yes, sir.
2023, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you know why you were asked to get a blood drawn on 2/27/2023 when the medical episode happened 2 days prior?
Basically, the 25th occurred, 27th or 26th occurred, go back out. I was asked to assist homicide. During that time between coming back to the office, assisting homicide, getting a search warrant, going down to night court to get with the magistrate to obtain the blood, and once I received the blood and stuff, I would only assume by the time I got the blood and turned it in, it was at that. I don't have a time. I'll have to see the form, but show the time. But I believe it was at that time. It was February 27th when I turned it in.
And just so we're clear, what is the reason it was collected on the 27th and not the 25th?
Initially, Vanderbilt. How I initially responded, Vanderbilt collects their own blood. So they had their own sample, which I believe homicide had subpoenaed, did a search warrant on that. When homicide took over this initial investigation from me, they asked me to collect it, to write up a search warrant to collect her blood samples. I believe that was 26, but it was late evening by the time I was back in the office assisting them doing that search warrant, and then by the time getting the search warrant granted and going and collecting it, I would assume it would be the early mornings of the 27th.
Okay. And to be clear, you were not the first officer on the scene, correct?
No, it wasn't.
There was multiple officers that was there before you, correct?
Correct.
Now, I want to orientate us back to Vanderbilt. You're there and you're interviewing people.
Yes, sir.
And you recorded Miss Browning, Mrs. Benning's stepmother, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you recorded Miss Najee Jackson in your interviews with her, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you recorded Mr. Blaise Taylor in your interview with him, correct?
Correct.
You also spoke to a Lauren Weber.
Yes, sir.
Did you record your interview with Lauren Weber?
No, I did not.
Did you learn that Lauren Weber was the individual one of the individuals who went into the house after Miss Benning had a medical episode?
Yes, sir.
Would you agree with me that best practices would suggest that you recorded that interview?
It would, but there was a brief interaction, and they briefly told me that they obviously weren't witnesses to the incident or scene, or they did not go to dinner and such, and then just stated that they had been there, had collected some personal property of Ms. Benning.
Okay. Did you inventory that personal property?
No, they had handed, I believe that's what the property was handed to, I believe, the stepmom. Or,
Okay.
Some property was handed at some point because they did not have that property.
Okay. You need a drink of water?
Yeah.
I'll take a moment. Good.
Mm-hmm.
So, you learned that Lauren Weber took some photographs or a photo.
Yeah.
Do you have that photo?
I do not.
What happened to it?
If any photo would have been handed to homicide, or it would have been on, it should have been put into our computer, or it would have been in the case file, or like I don't have it personally on me.
Do you recall how that photograph was given to you?
Recall?
Yeah.
Possibly airdropped to me.
And would it have been airdropped on your personal phone or a work phone?
Should have been a work phone.
Do you have that work phone?
I do not.
Detective Smith, is any case ever personal to you?
Personal?
Yes.
You're all right. Check that.
Or, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean personal?
By personal, I mean when you're working, you're operating in a professional capacity. It's not personal, it's a professional capacity.
So what is your question?
My question is, was there anything different about this case than any other case that you have conducted that would have made it personal to you?
No, sir.
Now, at some point you learned that this could have been the result of a possible poisoning or drowning, correct?
Yes.
And as a law enforcement officer for the past 13 years, have you ever encountered any overdose cases?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And are you aware that over 3/4 of the overdose deaths in Nashville was for fentanyl in 2023?
How do we get that? Do you know any statistics on deaths in Nashville about fentanyl?
No, I don't.
He doesn't.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, when you had the opportunity to interview Mr. Taylor, you stated that you were in plain clothes,
Yes.
but he knew you was a police officer.
Yes.
And on direct examination, you asked him to step into a private room.
Yes, sir.
Did he comply with that?
Yes, sir.
Did he answer all of your questions?
Yes, he did.
At one point, he described himself as adrenaline, and you said, "I can see."
Do you have a copy of the transcript that says that?
Yes, it's the one the state handed you. Did you give it back?
Yeah.
It's in that house.
Thanks, sir. Do you happen to have the page?
Sure, let me orientate you to page 13 at the very top.
Okay.
What's your question?
Good?
Yeah.
At some point, you told Mr. Taylor that you could see that he was shocked or in shock.
All it says is I see I. So I'm not sure if it's referencing to him being shocked or what it's referencing to.
But you would agree with me that it immediately follows after he says, I just feel like I'm in shock.
It does.
And your reply is, I see.
It does follow after that and it says I see, comma, I, and then it's cut off.
I want to talk to you outside of what Ms. Nigeria Jackson told you. Did you find any reason why Mr. Taylor would want to be involved in any type of crime at all?
Say that again.
Objective relevance of opinion.
My question was specifically, Your Honor, about evidence. Did he find any evidence?
You already let the attorney step up. All right, I'll sustain it.
Detective Smith, do you still have a copy of the transcript?
Yes, sir.
I want to orientate you to page 14, line 9.
Yes, sir.
You stated there about the importance of doing due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
That's important in every criminal case, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And it's certainly important in this. No further questions.
Can you read the rest?
No, Your Honor.
There's two.
Who's the next one?
Next witness is Jennifer Barrett.